Hello and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about if I'm switching to Linux or not, and the short answer is no, because I've already invested so much time into my Windows machine. It's really hard to fully switch to Linux at this point, at least on the machines that I have already. Now, will I probably install it and use it as my primary OS down the line once I get new systems? Yeah, definitely, because I vastly prefer the overall interface, not the interface, because I still have some problems with the Linux interface, and I'll get into that later, but I vastly prefer, like, the security that Linux brings, and just the overall ease of access to everything. You can do fucking anything on Linux, and while that is a good thing, it's also kind of a bad thing, because you can just straight up delete everything on your hard drive or operating system in, like, 2 seconds. It's really easy to do, and that's kind of a bad thing, just giving people this level of control, which is why I am still kind of waiting for SteamOS, although I still do like KDE Plasma, and that's the Linux operating system that I went with, which is Bazzite, which is KDE Plasma, basically, which is really, really good. I do like it. It's pretty convenient, and I would say a little bit more convenient than just, your standard Linux distribution service. And it's nice. It's pretty easy to download applications. There's like a Discover panel where you can just go into it, install basically anything you want, like OBS, VLC, an equalizer if you want. But I will say I've already noticed an issue that Linux, at least, or not Linux, but at least KDE Plasma doesn't have that Windows does, which is the ability to delete audio devices. I know this is a very minor thing because it's really not that big of a deal. It's like a little bit of extra clutter in the audio devices settings, and that's it. But I do like on Windows that you can just delete any audio device that you're not using or you just don't want in your audio devices panel, so it's not as cluttered. But on Linux, on the operating system side of things, you can't delete any audio devices without installing another application to delete most of them. And I say most of them because I did install an equalizer that added like 2 new audio devices or drivers to that panel or whatever, and you can't delete them even after downloading that application because I think it's by the same people, but for whatever reason, you just can't delete the Pulse Audio drivers. So yeah, it's just a little extra clutter to the audio devices panel, which again is not that big of a deal. It's really minor of an issue compared to all the kerfuffling you have to do with the terminal at some points. But even then, again, there's just some ease of use things that I like on Windows that just aren't quite there yet on Linux. I think Linux has very, very strong, a very, very strong community. And fortunately, there are a lot more applications that are now supporting it. But another big issue with Linux is that there are still just some applications that only support Windows or Mac, which don't support Linux at all. A big example of this is not music distribution services, but I mean music streaming service apps like Apple Music and Tidal and stuff like that. There are no desktop apps, at least that I'm aware of, for Linux, which sucks because I just like the ease of use and again the convenience of just a desktop app, which again is not available a lot of the time on Linux, even still, unfortunately. Now, it has gotten a lot better, and games are a lot easier to play on Linux than they were like a few years ago. But again, there's still some work to be done. Although I will say this is more of a problem with big corporations and not with Linux, because I don't think a lot of big corporations want to support Linux because it's a very niche operating system and they feel, they don't need it. People don't need it when it's nice to have more options. So again, this isn't really a problem with Linux itself. It's more of a problem with the fact that it's just so niche that a lot of corporations don't even feel the need to support it, which sucks. Because yeah, I do really, really like Linux. I like how secure it is compared to Windows especially. And I just like how de-bloatified it is, because I hate Windows and the amount of ads that it shoves down your face. Mac at least doesn't do this, but it's still just overly simplified to the point where I feel like, especially with like gaming and stuff, it's really hard to like fully use it for like everything. Mac is way more of like a workstation type thing and not a gaming machine at all. You still can't play like a fuck ton of games on it. Linux is in this kind of middle ground between Windows and Mac, and it's again not quite at Windows level yet with its level of supportability and stuff like that, and it's and also just again just the amount of features it has at some points. But even then, again, it is still very good and still customizable and changeable. You can change everything about it. It is basically an Android version of Windows, where you can just change basically almost anything about it, which is nice. So yeah, that is basically it. I don't have a whole lot else to say. Again, I've liked Bazite. I've used it a little bit, and I do enjoy it. I like how easy it is to download applications in the Discover tab or whatever. And you can also just download like equalizers and all that, which is nice. I think a lot of the Linux community has sorted this stuff out by now. But again, there's still a few minor things that I think need to be tweaked. But once SteamOS comes out, I think the floodgates will open. Like, open for Linux gaming even more than they have already, which is really nice. So, yeah, that is basically it, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye.